I turned this boring planter into my favorite storage solution. I brought it inside and used some painter's tape to create a striped pattern all the way around. Then I used black craft paint to fill in the gaps. Once those were painted, I flipped it over and peeled back the tape just enough so that I could finish painting the rim of the pot. And this is always the best part of any DIY, a satisfying tape pull. Once the tape was peeled, I set the pot aside and pulled out the saucer. I grabbed an old drawer handle and used some contact cement to attach it to the saucer. Once that was done, I took it outside and used it to keep my unsightly gardening tools tucked away. And then, I thought of an even better use for it. I loaded it up with ice and some cold drinks to enjoy on a hot day. It was such a simple way to add storage to my patio, and the modern look really brought the whole space together. I picked up a terracotta pot from Walmart. Once I got it home, I laid out a trash bag to protect my surface and used some white craft paint to cover the whole thing. Once that was dry, I took some rope and fed a loop through the drainage hole of the pot. I tied a knot at the top, flipped it over, cut off the excess rope, and then tied another knot on the inside. Because my rope was thinner, I had to tie a pretty big knot. And that's pretty much it. I use it outside as a cloche for my food. It keeps dirt, bugs, and anything else that's flying around off of my food, and it's super cute. Before the next DIY, we want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Sintra AI. If you've ever wished you had an extra teammate to handle repetitive work, posting, organizing, replying, summarizing, Sintra does exactly that with AI helpers. An AI helper is basically a virtual teammate that can analyze data, automate workflows, and enhance customer service all without breaks. I've been using Soshi, their social media helper, who's been helping me craft content calendars and stay on top of my task list so nothing slips through. But that's only the tip of the iceberg of what Soshi can do. When I'm running low on time or inspiration, I ask Soshi to generate content ideas for me. Not only does she come up with ideas, she generates images and copy that I can use or edit to get exactly what I want. And she does it while staying true to my brand voice and personality. I get full control of all publishing details, letting me manage my entire social media workflow in one place from start to finish. What I like most, though, is that it's not just one chatbot. It's 12 plus helpers in one platform. And right now, there's an exclusive offer for our viewers. Just go to CintraAI/HomeTalk or use code HomeTalk to get 72% off all plans. And it's backed by a 14-day money-back guarantee. So if you want an AI teammate to take a real chunk of busy work off your plate, check out Sintra AI and use the code HomeTalk. Or scan the QR code to try Sintra for yourself.
I headed off to my local dollar store and picked up terracotta pots, and my husband picked up chain for me at the hardware store. The design I opted for was a pot and then 4 wood beads hanging below. To prepare the wires for the beads, use a pair of needle nose pliers and create a little circle. The chain is going to loop through the circle, so don't make it too tight. How you are going to determine the spacing is you're going to take the distance of where you want the rain chain to start all the way to the ground. You will have to determine how far into the pot you want them to connect and add that extra distance to come up with the amount of chain you will need. It's time for assembly. Take one piece of wire and put the smallest bead on first, not the largest like I started to do. Then add the other beads. Next, put the wire through the bottom of the pot and bend it over slightly. Add a piece of chain and secure the wire so the chain won't slip off. Repeat until you have all the pots in place. Now it's time to hang your rain chains. They look so cute and add so much charm to my greenhouse. Look at that, they are working perfectly, and listen to how nice they sound.
At my local Walmart, I picked up a terracotta pot, some paint, and styrofoam balls, and we're going to turn this into some really cool yard decor. And the first thing we have to do is paint our pot. So I'm going to remove the lid and simply just pour the paint right on. Then we're going to take an inexpensive paintbrush and just start painting the pot. We're going to make sure to cover all of the sides. You can leave the inside natural, but we do want to make sure that we have an even coverage and sometimes multiple layers of paint so that we don't see the terracotta underneath. So I did 2 coats of that Kelly green as a base coat, and then we came back in with a lighter green, and that I just used the same Kelly green with a little bit of white, and we drew the belly, and then we also came back in with some polka dots. As you can see, they're not even, they're not precise, but I think it turned out very, very cute. So now it's time to paint a mouth. Now I have some black paint, and then just a more detailed paintbrush. We're gonna dip that in. No need to pour this out on a plate or anything. And we're gonna paint the mouth. So now I did a second coat, and what we're going to do now is add the little caps on the mouth. So we're going to just take our paintbrush and do 2 little lines. Now we have some pink, and of course we've got to add the frog's tongue. So I'm just going to take our paintbrush, the same paintbrush, a finer detailed one, dip it in the paint, and as you can see, it's going to take multiple layers. Now I have some of these that I picked up from Walmart. These are just smaller styrofoam balls, and they come in all different sizes as well. So we're going to need 2 of them, and we're going to come back to the black paint, and we're going to create a black circle right in the middle. Just like that. Now that we have the eyeballs painted, I'm going to take a little bit of hot glue from my glue skillet and apply it to the bottom of the styrofoam ball. And then right on the top, which happens to be the bottom of the terracotta pot, I'm just going to place it right there. And we'll do the same thing to a second ball and place it right here. And for the final touch, we have a couple black pipe cleaners, and you can find all sorts of pipe cleaners and the cutters we're using today from nicksseasonaldecor.com, and we're just going to snip them about an inch or so long. Now I'm going to take our fake little eyelashes that we just made, and I'm going to place them right above the eyes. So I broke down 1 pipe cleaner, and that is going to be more than enough. We don't really need too many eyelashes, just a few pieces will do. And here's how our terracotta frog turned out, and I absolutely love it. What an easy project, you guys. All we used was 1 terracotta pot, 2 styrofoam balls, 1 pipe cleaner, and a little bit of paint. Some of these ingredients you might already have on home.
I've got an area on the side of my house that is just ugly with an old hose. So what I'm going to do is take some handles and also the base for a planter, and I'm going to put these handles on the side. But it can be difficult to find out how to do it. So all you got to do is take the handles and put some tape over them. Take a pen and you're just going to poke through where the screws go in the handles. Then you'll just peel the tape off, and you can then transport the tape onto the side of the planter where you want to drill your marks. Once you got it on there firmly, just go ahead and take a pen or a black marker and just push it through and mark. This is where you're going to drill the holes. Once you remove the tape, it's going to show you where your 2 marks are. Now, on the screws that go for the handles, you want to make sure you get the right size drill bit, just enough that the threads will go through the planter. Drill your holes, and then you can pop the screws through from the inside to the out. And that way you can go ahead and put these handles on. Use your hand to tighten them first, and then a screwdriver later. Go ahead and put both sides on, and make sure you get them nice and tight. We're going to be using these handles to carry this base around. Then what we're going to do is go ahead, put both sides on, but we're going to flip it over because we need to drill some drain holes. I went ahead and just used these marks that are on the back and put them all the way through, and also want to make sure I get the middle one. That way it can drain if it needs to. Once we got these holes drilled, turn it back over, and we're going to use some succulent potting soil. Put that all over and spread it out, fill it up, and then you can begin to go ahead and transplant your succulents over to this base. All you have to do is make a hole and put the roots in. It's great. Succulents are so good at being transported over from one pot to another, and they're easy to take care of. I love having them because they don't take as much water. Sometimes I call them forget-me-nots because you can forget them for a while and they hold up great. Go ahead and put in as many or as few as you want. On the planter, though, where we're going to hide the hose, we need to drill a hole about halfway up, and that's how we're going to put the hose in. Go ahead and make sure about a 1-inch hole will be just fine. Also, sometimes them garden hose leak, so we also want to put some drain holes in the bottom of this planter. Now, the last thing we got to do is put some wood in there. That's going to hold this lid up. I went ahead and used my drill to do a pre-drill, put some screws in there, and then you put the wood back up against the side, and you'll use your drill to go ahead and cinch those screws down. If you do it nice and tight, it's going to hold it really nice. Once you got it, make sure you do 2 on each side. Make sure you also get that garden hose through. Pull it all the way through, wrap it up, and look at that. Go ahead and put your succulent tray right on top. I hope this inspired you to build your own DIY succulent tray garden hose holder. Thank you for watching Home Talk, and we'll see you next time.